Hey guys, welcome back to the Hoops Post Up, your source for all things NBA and especially fantasy. We're now into the fourth week of the NBA season, a lot to digest, and we're here with some advanced stat sleepers, just as we did a couple of weeks ago. We're going to dive into those numbers that go beyond the box score. It's time again for your weekly Fantasy 5. As always, I'm Pierre Camus, and with me is my wife, Velma.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our channel.
So thank you to new subscribers, new viewers, and before we get going, just stop what you're doing and hit that subscribe button right now because there's no point waiting. If you love fantasy basketball as much as we do, why not check us out every single week? We'll be here to help you. Again, not just the surface, not just the obvious plays. We're going to dig into those stats and really find some players that will help you out long term that the other guys won't tell you about. All right, so where are we going to start out first?
Okay, so we have some stat sleepers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who are we talking about?
I don't know. You're supposed to tell me.
I think we
You
have
got the list.
I think we have Jabari Parker.
You're right. Okay, let's bring up that list. And like we did before when we talk about sleepers, we're going to break down a couple different categories. And so, first and foremost, let's talk usage because I think it stands to reason you can't really help out if you don't have the ball in your hands. And of course, having the ball in your hands doesn't mean anything if you don't do anything with it. So, for example, let's say your teammate of James Harden, it really doesn't matter because he's just going to want you to pass the ball back to him, right?
Oh,
Pass
he
it back.
is.
You
Yeah.
stand and watch.
Yeah, we
Um,
kind of seen that
anyways,
as of late.
all right, Jabari Parker. You remember didn't we just talk about him?
We talked about Jabari. Obviously, he's doing something right.
He is. He's doing a whole lot right because we did talk last week about filling in for Collins because out 25 games, making a not so great decision.
Yeah, he didn't make a very good choice on
But
that.
won't expound on that. Parker is doing pretty well with his opportunity. He's the guy that we identified as the main sleeper there in Atlanta to pick up some minutes, and sure enough, it's showing. Now, not a deep sleeper here. Everybody obviously has heard of Jabari Parker.
Obviously, he's 64% owned, right?
Does that surprise you it's not higher?
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, Jafari's doing pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Now, just don't. Our advice. I mean, the fact is that he's somebody who has all the opportunity in the world to pick up those minutes in Atlanta, but he's got a 26.4% usage rate, which means he's not just on the court; he's actually doing a lot with it, and had some nice games lately. Talk about Dennis Schroeder. A little bit surprising. I was just telling you this, was it yesterday? I feel like I see Oklahoma City on TV every single night.
Oklahoma's playing a lot where we are. I don't know if you get to see them, but we get to see them quite often.
They're always on. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they played I think 3 games in 4 nights. But got to see a lot of Schroeder in person here, and he's doing pretty well. You wouldn't think, given the fact that they have a guy named Chris Paul, that the backup point guard would get a lot of run, and we know Schroeder was kind of exiled from Atlanta, but he's making the most of his opportunity also.
He's got, well, he's 53% owned and he's 25% usage.
Pretty good combination because he's available in about half fantasy leagues. Not a must start here by any means. He's a guy who is a backup, right, point guard, but Oklahoma City playing surprisingly well, I'd say.
How does Dennis offer the best play for fantasy?
Well, his main area you think of contributed obviously assists because being a point guard and kind of filling that gap for Paul. But he's scoring pretty well too. And actually, he went on just the other night. It was 7 point run by himself. He's not a prolific 3 point shooter. He's not a high percentage shooter, but he's a guy who will get to the rim. I guess sort of like a modern day, slightly taller version of Tony Parker. Right? He's a speed guy. He's a
Oh,
slasher. He's a guy who will make things
yeah, he
happen.
is. Tony.
Again, don't look for a big boost in threes, and again, don't look for him to go off for 20 plus points a night. Even if if for some reason Chris Paul isn't out there. But still, pretty nice overall game that he can bring.
Okay, up next we have Anthony Simons.
So again, wouldn't think there would be too much value here. They do have a pretty good pair of guards in Portland. Lillard off to a pretty good start. McCollum, of course, is going to do what he does. And
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly, Portland is not off to a good start. I don't know what the deal is there. Kind of a weird stat I saw, the fact that Lillard, I think, is leading the league in win shares, and yet they're not winning. I'm not sure how that happens. But Portland was 0-3 to start the season at home, and they're struggling. But that aside, what can Simons do for us? Well, he's kind of stepping in. Obviously, a pretty young player in his second season here, and he's played in every game. He's averaging about 20 minutes a game. Not a guy who's going to light it up from three necessarily, averaging just under 2 3-pointers per game, but getting you 12 points. Only thing is not going to help you necessarily in all the other peripheral stats, rebounding, steals. Nothing really jumps out there. So really, he's got to probably improve his percentages. But if you need a boost in scoring, just points alone, you know,
He's available, right?
he's
19% owned, and he has 21.5%
yeah. So the usage there
usage.
mainly again, it's taking shots, right? Not a whole lot else, but again, he could be a decent source of points.
So up next we have Mo Wagner.
That's right. So Big Mo here, no longer a Laker. Now, actually, good for him because he's going to see that usage rate increase. Two things here you should know about Wagner is the fact that he obviously will get a bigger chance to contribute being in a team that needs a lot. And that's Washington. Doing a lot better than I think everybody even
Oh,
expected. I know, poor Washington.
yeah.
Um, but he's leading the league in field goal percentage on twos, 70%.
That's huge.
That's pretty good. The guy who's supposed to have some range. Again, he'll hit the occasional three, not a whole lot, but he's a guy who can give you some points. He's a guy who can give you a few rebounds here and there, and the minutes should increase because Jan Mahinmi is out for, I believe, a month or so.
Wow.
So you just see the minutes increase for Wagner.
All right. So up next, we're going to talk about Frank Jackson. Definitely readily available with only 1% owning him.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Frank.
Well, Big Frank is making the most of the limited amount of playing time he gets. He's only on the court so far. Well, actually, it's decent. It's a little less than last year. Not too much. I thought it was less than that. About 18 minutes per game. Scoring double digits, right? 10.9 points per game.
That's not bad.
Not bad. You'd like to see the assists go up. But if you look, and we're not going to speak about him in the next segment, but his per 36 numbers are pretty good. So if you're talking about a team like the Pelicans,
Pelicans.
right? Pelicans, we love the
Yeah.
Pelicans. With our man Alvin Gentry,
Oh,
not off to a great start, but they had injuries and no Zion, and that's a young team.
yeah.
But we know their best player is Drew Holiday.
Mhm.
And there's one thing we
Mhm.
know about Drew Holiday is what?
Mhm.
He gets hurt,
Yeah.
like always. There won't be a season, maybe there will be, but he's gonna get hurt at some point. And so, Lonzo Ball's been hurt too. So who's gonna step up next?
It's crazy. There's
Frank
so many
Jackson.
different injuries this season. It just seems I don't know. It just seems more
Oh no, it's
than
definitely more.
than other seasons that I've noticed.
It's an epidemic, and we can talk about load management all we want, make fun of that. We're I
Oh.
guess being non-millennials, like we said, can't relate to that. This is a new thing, and it. I don't know. Well, we're not going to talk about that, but it's not even that. It's just players legitimately getting injuries, right? Serious injuries out for weeks and months, and already, and we've just barely started the season.
I just wonder if they're putting just maybe they're just working their bodies too hard, putting too much time in the gym, not giving their bodies some rest. I don't know.
With guys, and again, we talked about this. If you check out our other episode we just dropped, talking about filling in, replacing some of those players, talk about like especially the Raptors. Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka. Well,
Yes,
they had a pretty long
yes.
postseason. There was no break
They
hardly.
no, and that happens, right? You're in the championship, so
I mean, that's a fair trade-off. I think they'll take that.
yeah, I
So,
would.
anyways, so those were our usage sleepers. Now let's get to your favorite part,
Per 36.
per 36. Okay, and for those who don't remember, per 36 sleepers, in other words, we're looking at guys who aren't getting 36 minutes and probably will never get to that level, but if they see a boost in their playing time, might just provide a boost. And what I did this time is broke down by category. So,
I like how you did that. So the first one we're focusing on is Colin Sexton, and he is obviously point guard for Cleveland, right? He's 63% owned, and he is like averaging 22 points per 36.
per 36.
Yeah.
Now, his per game average isn't too far off of that because Sexton, of
Well, how
course,
much do you really play longer than 36 minutes?
no, not longer. But, he's a guy who played nearly every game last year because had to. Actually, he did play every single game last year. Didn't start every game, but he played all 82 games. That's pretty rare. Of course, he's 20 years old. He could do that.
Right.
Um, so far, his minutes are about the same. 31, though. That's not too far off from
No.
36.
Mm-hmm.
His points are going up just a little bit. So talk about being a 20-point scorer. He can be that. He's close. He's on his way, and on a nice little streak lately. So
Sounds like pretty solid numbers to me. I
uh-huh.
want to pick him up.
Yeah. And now here's the thing. I know it's a sleeper, and generally like to look at guys who are under 50% owned. He's definitely a little higher than that. But I mean, he's available in quite a few leagues. So unless you're in a pretty shallow league, if you're a 12 to 14 team league, there's still a good chance he might be out there. Maybe not anymore now that he's on a nice run, but it's worth taking a look.
Okay, so up next we have our center from Utah, Tony Bradley.
Tony Bradley, not a name that you would think would matter in fantasy, which is the reason that he's 0% owned.
Oh,
Poor Tony, I know.
but I mean, 15 rebounds per 36. That's not bad.
Now, keep in mind, Tony Bradley's probably not going to get even half of that because they have a guy named Rudy Gobert. And
Yes.
the good thing for Bradley, though, is that you have Ed Davis, who a veteran, right, backup center. Well, he's out for about a month, I believe, maybe longer.
Wow,
So Bradley is going to get a chance to see a boost in minutes.
that's terrible.
Maybe not even 20 a game, but if you think about that, do the math. He's averaging right now, okay, small sample size, but about 15 boards per 36. Um, if he can get that spike, get close to 20 minutes, we're talking 7, 8, maybe rebounds per game for a guy that's not even owned. Maybe he'll get you a block or two and a few points. So again, this is a guy, a sleeper per 36. We're talking about just a boost in that category. If you need somebody,
Right,
some like two
right.
rebounds,
We're focusing specifically in that spot,
yep,
what you might need some help with.
there you go.
Okay, so up next we have TJ McConnell, obviously, point guard from Indiana.
Hmm.
And, he's not really owned either.
Not really. And a little less exciting being in Indiana than as opposed to Philadelphia, but he's doing the job. Had a nice game the other day, and here's more of a well-balanced profile. You can see instead of a guy like
Yeah.
Bradley where you're just getting in for rebounds or some of the next couple guys we're going to talk
Right. He
about.
may be able to help you out in a couple of categories, right? But mainly an assist here.
Well, here's the thing. The assists jump off the page because you can get double-digit assists in this new era of ISO play. That's pretty good. But second overall, we're talking about per 36 stats for league-wide. He's second in the
Wow.
whole league in
Wow.
assists per 36.
That's impressive.
So obviously, right there, there's a reason to add him. He will get you a fair amount of points, and obviously, as long as Oladipo's out, he's going to get some run.
All right. So up next we have Goga Badatsi, and he is
Oh,
a center for Indiana.
well said. That was
Oh,
smooth. I could not.
thank you.
Why do we have two Pacers back? That must be a mistake. But no. Hey,
Well,
the minutes are there. Turner's been hurt, and they've had some injury issues just across the board. But blocks definitely harder to come by, and this is a guy who's standing out. But Dotsie, a little banged up himself lately,
I'd
but he
love to
should be
have some
back.
blocks on my team.
Yeah. Oh, I know you're struggling there. The big men are not coming through. So, but Dotsie, he's obviously pretty young, pretty raw. Not going to expect him to be consistent on a night to night basis, but yeah, 4.3 per 36. If he can round out and be a nice complementary piece off the bench, fill in some of those minutes while Turner and other guys are hurt, there's a boost in a category that's pretty hard to catch up in. And that's the thing with blocks
Excellent.
and steals, definitely hard to find those guys.
Go pick them up. All right. So next up, we have Matisse Thybulle.
There you go. Now, here's the thing, a word of warning, I'm looking for steals, right? Guy who's going to help you with steals.
I like how you said that. Word of
A warning.
warning.
Because if you'll notice, and there, I didn't even get to show all the other stats like percentages and you notice rebounds aren't on there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a reason. Because he just doesn't get any, right?
Aw.
Very young player, obviously a rookie. They're high on his potential, but potential doesn't really help on your fantasy team. Stats, actual stats help.
Yes. Yes,
Um,
we know that.
a boost in steals, absolutely. He's shown that he's a great defender. We knew that coming out of college. The scoring will come along if the chances come. We need a guy like Ben Simmons to really miss significant time, which of course nobody wants to happen.
Right.
But he's not going to get a big role this year unless that happens. You need a few steals. I'd say stream him for a week or two. But yeah, just be warned that it's for steals and just steals.
Right.
So this would be obviously a pick for roto leagues, not overall points leagues.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, there you go. Hopefully those stat sleepers helped. And we'll be back again at it next week with another Fantasy 5. Before we do that, remind them one more time, what should they do?
You have to subscribe, comment below, let us know your thoughts, hit that notification bell, and follow us along.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Peace and love. Peace.